one can highlight and say, at this point, I'm becoming too obsessed or too obsessive with my partner, or vice versa?
Yes, there is a way. Gottman talks about something we call connection beads. Connection beads is when a wife comes home or a husband comes home and they want to initiate a discussion. And they can probably initiate by saying, how was your day? And you realize there are some who will not even respond, and they will say it is good, and they're done. They leave it at that, which we call cliché kind of communication. They leave it at that and they do not move on. The following day, you make another connection bid. What can I cook for you today, sweetheart? And they will say, whatever.
Whatever you want to
Whatever you want to prepare for me. Then, those are some of the initial signs to tell you that things are not okay. Then it graduates to a point whereby you cannot even resonate intellectually. You cannot sit down and agree on anything. You begin to differ, and every time you communicate or you say something, the other person, it lands in their ears as if it is an insult. And they begin to fight back. Then, at that particular point is when we say it is good for a couple to seek help.
Okay, and what sort of help are we talking about here? Is it help for them to just sit down and talk? Because it looks like communication barriers have been broken.
Yes. First of all, if they are able to sit down and agree, that would be so good. But you realize there are some situations whereby love or a couple becomes gridlocked. They cannot move, and they begin to do what we call stonewalling. They cannot make any headway. And at that particular point, it's okay for them to seek help, maybe from a counselor, from a third party, who is able to, help them sit down and point out to some areas that probably may not be working for them, and maybe help them to focus on their deficiencies. And once they are able to focus on their deficiencies, they will be able to work out the issue that is not working.
Okay, now, are there certain things within a relationship that provoke one to get to a point where they feel they would want to completely do away with this person, to a point where they can kill? And one of those may be being betrayal. Because when we look at most of the relationships where there has either been a very major fight, where one has lost their lives, there always seems to be a third party who has gotten into the relationship either without the knowledge of one of the parties, or with the knowledge but without, of course, the approval.
Yes, there are such moments, and of course you've talked about betrayal. And even loss of trust. You know, once you are betrayed, you lose trust. And to build that trust again, it's an uphill task. But again, you realize, like we said, that families or a marriage should be a place where, it's a safe haven. Now, the moment we expose our spouses, we expose our marriage to external aggression, then you realize that you are not able to move together again. And like in the issue of betrayal, whereby you have somebody else, and this particular wife has really invested, or this man has really invested, and then you bring in somebody else from outside, then they will feel betrayed, and they will lose trust in you. And at that particular point, you realize that even that relationship will begin to become toxic, because it is very hard for anybody to build trust again. And if one party is not caring about what the other person is going through, their emotional injuries, they continue to inflict wounds on their emotions, then you realize that it can even end up somebody taking another person's life if they don't seek help.
Now,